Okay, hi everybody. We're in a new video on AI and mental health. Let's talk about it. Today we're going to talk about specifically on autism spectrum disorder and how chatbots can help in this area. I invited a very special and dear student from Palo Alto University, Shireen Agakani. Nice to have you here, Shireen.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so Shireen has been an amazing researcher during the 4, 5, 6 years that we've been working together. She did several studies on chatbots for ASD. So I would like to get ahead and start talking about it. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, Shireen, why should we care about doing something with chatbots for individuals with ASD?
I think there's a few different reasons. I think right now we're at a time where technology use is so ingrained into our daily lives, and it's important for us as a field to kind of adjust. And it makes sense to provide resources that are so easily accessible on devices that we use every day. And with autism specifically, there's such a lack of resources, and it's difficult to find services. And when you do find them, there's long wait lists for the services, or they're very expensive. And chatbots are really accessible and can kind of take away a lot of barriers to receiving services. I also think when it comes to ASD, they're a population that has difficulty with social interactions. They can get overwhelmed or overstimulated. And chatbots really are a space where they can engage with the bot at their own pace.
Oh, interesting. So you say that in social demands, they may get anxious or kind of more, let's say, tense, and the chatbot will give them time to process whatever they want to think in their interaction.
Yeah, it can kind of ease some of that anxiety of having to respond right away, and let them kind of go at their own pace.
That's very interesting, and I've never heard of anyone saying this, or I've never read of any paper suggesting that this could be a possibility. This is very interesting. So you did, I know that you have 3 publications already out there or on the way. Which one was the first one? I have a slide here. Let's see. Should we go to this one? Can you tell us?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this was a study that we did on Wisa, which is a chatbot that was created for the general public, and it's available for free on the App Store. And in this first study, we looked at messages that users sent to Wisa, that talked about ASD, and then users who self-identified as having autism. And we found that they're very open to sharing their experiences and their emotions about autism with the bot. So for, oh yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, to clarify one thing. You have like 2 sets of users that you analyzed. One
Yes,
group were individuals that we don't know anything about them, so we categorize that as general users. And the other set of users were the ones that,
they self-identified as having autism in their messages.
okay, perfect. So what did you find with the general users?
So the general users, a lot of them talked about others in their life who have ASD, mentioning, like my friend has autism and doesn't tell me how he feels, or they bully him because he has autism. Others talked about the ASD diagnosis in general, so expressing concern about having ASD or symptoms of it. Um, and then the other ones were talking about seeking help for ASD, so wanting the bot to kind of help them with resources or asking if they have any specific interventions or help for people with autism.
So this is not someone that is necessarily seeking help for themselves, but maybe they were saying, how can I help my partner with ASD, correct?
Yes.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you. And you have another set of users that were identified with autism, correct?
Yes.
But before going there, I think something that we want to highlight, these were all users that were interacting with which chatbot?
Wisa.
Wisa. Wise is a company, for those of you that don't know or are watching this video for the first time, it's a company that has been doing chatbots for mental health since a while ago. They have a very nice product. We talk about them in the second, third video. And by the way, we will invite one of the Wisa team members. Actually, we are planning that recording, so stay tuned for that one. But this is a chatbot that does not necessarily design for individuals with ASD, correct?
Yes, this is kind of for general users. Yeah.
Okay, so what did you find with the users that identified as having ASD while interacting with Wisa?
Yeah, so we found that a lot of them talked about their ASD diagnosis or symptoms. So mentioning having distress about ASD and kind of the symptoms, describing their experience with autism. A lot of them disclosed their diagnosis to WISA, and some of them talked about kind of a self-aversion to ASD. So talking about not wanting to have autism.
Okay, that's sad to hear about that. And you also find something about negative reactions from others. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we had a lot of users who talked about feeling misunderstood by other people in their lives because of their diagnosis. Some users mentioned social problems, so difficulty making friends, feeling like they're not accepted because of their diagnosis. Some of them talked about being bullied and even mentioned abuse at some points.
Okay. So what are your takes about what you found with this study?
Yeah, I think this study really highlighted just the openness that people had, one, to sharing their experiences with a chatbot, and also how much they were willing to disclose and how much they're seeking to kind of engage with a chatbot and talk about their experience with autism. And I think that's really important to note for this study because we're seeing that they're engaging with a chatbot that's for the general public, but they're really wanting to talk about their diagnosis.
Thank you. Okay, and I know that that paper was already published, right?
Yes.
Congratulations there. And there's one under review. We'll see what happens. And this one is on conversational agents, and I let you present it.
Yeah, so this is our kind of part two to the first study. So still looking at the same user data for the WISA chatbot. And this study, we found that the users really engaged with WISA a lot more than in previous studies that have been on kind of chatbots for different topics. They had a lot of back and forth conversations, more than in other studies that we've seen. And they also really utilized a lot of the interventions that WISA has to offer in their app. WISA has so many tools that people can choose from. And one of the top tools that people with autism were using was mindfulness. And I think that shows a lot of value that they have in kind of the different tools. They were using mindfulness, thought recording, wanting help with sleep, grounding, social support. So I think it shows that there's so much that they're seeking on these apps and that it's important for us to tailor interventions to their specific needs.
Okay. So you were saying that they engage more than what we typically see in chatbot studies in general, correct?
Yes.
Okay, this is interesting because this is not a chatbot that was necessarily designed for individuals with ASD.
Yes.
So what would you like to see happening in the future of chatbots for ASD?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to create chatbots that are specifically for people with ASD and really incorporating what they're seeking out. Like if they're using mindfulness interventions, maybe tailoring that more to their specific issues and what they need, their symptoms, what they need help and guidance on.
Nice, thank you. And this is like the perfect segue for what you've done actually in the third study. That is, you kind of developed your own chatbot, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go for it. Tell us.
Yeah, so after researching Wisa and seeing that people with autism are interacting with chatbots, I decided that I wanted to create my own. And so I created TALKO. And TALKO is a chatbot that I designed for adolescents, so teens with autism. And it's based on the PEERS program, which is a social skills program that's highly utilized within that field.
Okay, so let me highlight one thing. You are a psychology doctoral student, correct?
Yes.
Yes, I'm using correct a lot. Now, are you a software engineer?
No.
Incorrect. So you're not a technical person,
No.
and you still went ahead and developed a chatbot. How did you do that?
Yeah, so I created a rule-based chatbot. So I created a script and I kind of found a software that was not easy, but also not too difficult to kind of put together. It took a lot of time, but it was fun and I really enjoyed it.
Nice. This is interesting, and I hope that this encourages other psychology people in the area to start developing more of these tools. And uh, what I'll share next is the icon that you use to represent your bot. I will let the users judge by themselves, but here is TACO. Why this icon?
I think one, it's really fun. And when you're creating something for adolescents, I wanted there to be an aspect of humor to it, and something fun for them to look at that they can engage with while they're talking to Taco.
Okay. We know from previous videos that I've been sharing here the importance of having a nice representation of the bot that you're working on, because people relate to those small icons that we graph, right? And to be publicly honest and transparent, when Shireen showed me this icon, I said, no way, we're not doing a study with this icon. But truth to be told, teenagers loved it, and I was wrong. And I think that this is very important to keep in mind, because when you're designing something for a specific population, you have to do it with them, right? Do not consult with me, Eduardo Bunge, on the design of your bot. And if you consult with me, do not listen to me. Okay. So what did you find with this study, Shireen?
Yeah, so we found that
Wait,
you,
sorry.
oh,
Before that, do you want to share a little bit of what were you doing here? I think we have a few screenshots, correct?
yes, we do.
Okay, so here we have one dialogue with the bot. Can you tell us what is this about?
Yeah, so when I was creating Taco, I really wanted there to be opportunity for the users to engage with the chatbot and for the users to kind of learn a little bit about Taco. So we had Taco ask questions like what you like to do for fun, kind of modeling social skills, but also letting the users start to kind of develop rapport with the bot. I programmed him to be funny.
Okay, so here we have like Tacos asking, what are some things that you like to do for fun? Type them below. The teenager will type it, right? Like, I like to draw and swim. And then Taco says, go ahead.
That sounds like a lot of fun. My favorite thing to do is surf the web and run code all night.
Okay, not sure if it's the best joke, but apparently it worked, right? Don't consult with me about the use of humor. Uh, Now, something interesting is that you want to establish a relationship with your users. So it's not just about sharing the information about the skill that you want to teach. You need to find a way to make it attractive. Okay, so here we have another one. What is this?
Yeah, so this was getting into kind of the different social skills that we were teaching. And this is one of the rules that we were teaching, which was asking the other person about themselves. So Taco kind of helped the user come up with, what is a question that you would want to ask a friend? And as you can see, this person wrote, "What is your favorite snack?"
Okay, good. My favorite snack. And what's my favorite snack?
It's a hard
Alfajores.
question.
Alfajores from Argentina. If anyone is watching this, you're free to send me alfajores. Okay, and this one?
And this is one of the other rules, sharing the conversation. So you can see that TALKO is kind of explaining this skill and also having the team think about, why this is so important.
Okay. Yeah. So if someone is looking at these screenshots, you may see that there's a lot of information that's being communicated, right?
Mhm.
And this is something that was done with rules and scripts. It's not necessarily using generative AI. So I'm curious about how adolescents react to this, because for me, this is like historic, right? This is like a very old-fashioned thing. So let's have some discussion about what did you find here?
Yeah, so we found that we tested kind of the adolescents' knowledge, so how much they learned from the chatbot. And we found that for one of the rules, it went up, it increased a little bit, and for the other one, it kind of stayed the same. But all of the teens came into it knowing some of the rules already. We found that their motivation to initiate a conversation increased, their confidence in knowing how to start a conversation increased. And they also talked about kind of positive things that they liked about TALKO, and they gave some recommendations that they had.
Okay, just to be super clear, there was an increase. It was not statistically significant, right? But everything moved in the expected direction, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I never use the word correct that much, but once you start saying it and you tell yourself don't say it, it comes again. Now, something that is interesting from this study is you were using a very rudimentary bot, and you did find that things were moving in the expected direction, and it was like a 10-15 minutes long conversation that they were having
Mhm.
with the bot.
Yeah.
So do you think that if you increase the dose of the conversation, you may find significant effect?
I think that depends. I think I would love to see that in a study happen. I think we also had 32 people in the study, and maybe if there was more people, we might have seen a significant effect. So I think it could be either of those two.
32 people for someone in the audience may be a very small sample, but from all the studies that were done with individuals with ASD and conversational agents, I
Mhm.
can say that this was the one that has the largest sample size. So congratulations for Shirin.
Thank you.
And what what else did you find out with this one? Were they making some comments?
Yeah, so some of the interesting things we asked the users, what their favorite part about chatting with TALKO was. And a lot of them mentioned that they learned a lot from TALKO. They found it helpful. Some people said they really liked the back and forth conversation. Some users said that they really liked TALKO's personality. So saying that TALKO was patient, very funny. And we even got one user who really expressed appreciation to TALKO and said, "God bless you, TALKO chatbot," which was really, really endearing just to see how much they appreciate and value TALKO.
I want to highlight this comment because after doing research on technology and mental health for the last probably 13, 14 years of my life, that comment coming from a teenager and coming from a teenager with ASD that usually may not have that motivation to interact with others, right? That may be like a stereotype, sorry about that. But teenagers in general are not very enthusiastic. That's what I'm trying to say, right? And having someone saying that for me shows a lot of promise on these tools. Maybe this is not the best bot in the world. It will not solve all the problems, and there's still a lot of things that need to be done, right? But there's promise here. So I think this is one of the highlights of my career, although it is Shirin's merit. I wanna use it on my defense. But Shirin, speaking of the future, what would you suggest for someone that is interested in helping adolescents with ASD and thinking of using chatbots? If you want to inspire new doctoral students, new researchers, what would you suggest?
Well, I think I'll tie that into one of the results of the study. When we asked users, what they wanted, like what TALKO could improve on, the top thing that they said was that they wanted more content. longer conversations. And that was just kind of blew my mind a little bit when you think about just ASD in general and the difficulty with social interactions. They're wanting more interaction with a chatbot. And so I really, really think that in the future, we should give people with ASD more content. We should gear this content towards adolescents and talk about different topics, help them with all of these symptoms, help them with social interactions. That was a huge part of the study that really motivated me to continue my research, knowing that this is something that they're really seeking out.
Wow. If anyone got distracted for a second, let's repeat that again. These are teenagers with ASD, like 16 years old in average, and they were asking for more content and more and longer conversations.
Yes.
Find a teenager that asks you for more homework, more of this, more of that. That's and you're not talking about screen time, right? And that's going to be unbelievable. So congratulations, Shireen, on all what you have done. If this is the beginning of your career as a researcher, I can imagine what will happen in the next years. Thank you so much. I think that the whole community of mental health researchers are more than happy with your contribution. And I hope that the audience found this interesting. If you're watching this video, please subscribe. There's a bell over there or here, I don't know. But we want to communicate this knowledge to everyone out there. Thank you, Shireen Agakani, one more time. See you all next time. Bye-bye.